Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the review of Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021. Overall, this pay-per-view was actually really good. Maybe I'm kind of over-exaggerating. It was really good on account of the fact of the world title match, but the rest of the show wasn't all that bad either. This was a decent show to watch. Overall, from beginning to end, this was a fun show. I had a good time watching it. It felt like a pay-per-view. WrestleMania didn't really feel like so much of a pay-per-view so much. There was, like I said, in the last few weeks I've uploaded videos. This show, the WrestleMania should have been a one-night event with only 8 or 9 matches. There shouldn't have been 14 fucking matches on that card. This card only had a total of 9 matches. Most of the matches were short, except for the main event, which went 23 minutes. And this was a decent show overall. It actually had 8 matches, because they had a match on the pre-show. So this went a full almost 3 hours, and it was what it was supposed to be, a fun, entertaining pay-per-view that went for almost 3 hours, and that's what they did. They accomplished that. There was a few matches on this card I did not care for, which I'll get into, but overall, the entire card felt like a pay-per-view, So, let's go right into the first match on the card, which was the Impact X Division Championship, with Ace Austin defending the title against TJP and Josh Alexander in a triple threat match. This match was really good. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. The only problem I had with it was the decision of giving the title to Josh Alexander. Not discrediting the fact that he's a good wrestler or anything. I'm just saying that I don't think he was the guy that should have took the title from him. There's another person on there by the name of Chris Bay, who I find to be an extremely talented in-ring performer, and I felt he should have been in this matchup, truthfully, and not Josh Alexander. It should have been a triple threat match with TJP, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. But despite the fact that Josh Alexander won, I am giving this a 4 out of 5 stars because this was a great opener to the show. It brought a high tempo to the show overall. Absolutely loved this match, despite the win by Josh Alexander. But I'm going to give it some time. I don't see that he won't be a good champion for the X Division. I just don't see him as the kind of guy that really belongs in the X Division. He doesn't need to be doing this. He really should be focusing on a world championship run. I think he's a good wrestling technician, and I think he should be trying to go after the major title, not just a mid-card championship for guys that are like my height, like 5'6" or taller. But overall, this was a good match. I had fun watching it. 4 out of 5 stars. Most definitely deserved for that rating. And then we had the second match, which was an 8-man tag team match. Violent by Design had a new person added to the mix because Eric Young suffered an injury. It was supposed to be a 4-on-4 match. Unfortunately, he got injured during the lead up towards this pay-per-view. His formerly went by the name of Big Cass in WWE, and now he is in Impact Wrestling as W. Morrissey, and he was teaming with Diener, Jor Doring, and Rhino. He actually picks up the victory for his team against Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack. I gotta say, I was thinking about this, and I've seen that Chris Sabin has been teaming with James Storm in the last couple of months since Alex Shelley suffered an injury. I have to admit, I think he would work better with Eddie Edwards. I think they would be a great tag team. They share a very similar style in wrestling. I get the point of James Storm and Chris Sabin. They share a lot of history together. They've had a lot of tag team matches with Beer Money and and with Chris Sabin and the Motor City Machine Guns with Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. So I get the point of them teaming together because they have a friendship and a bond that they've built up over the years. But Eddie Edwards and Chris Sabin have a really good chemistry as tag team wrestlers. And Eddie Edwards being in the tag team division long before he was in the world title hunt, I think those two would work great together. And winning the tag team titles from Finn Juice, which I will get into because they actually retained their championships. I will give you guys my overall thoughts on that in just a moment. This match was a 3 out of 5 stars. It was an average match. It was very down-toned compared to the opener. So I have to admit, this was not all that exciting, but it was decent overall. W. Morrissey was really good in this match, actually. They made him look like $1 million. He was ripped. I mean, this guy went from being flabby, and the last few years, I think 2 or 3 years since the last time I seen him, he improved his look and his in-ring work. He was really good in this match, actually. He was the most exciting part of this matchup besides Eddie Edwards, Chris Sabin, James Storm, and Willie Mack. Their team worked very well. But bottom line, W. Morrissey was really good. I enjoyed him. He looked better than he did in WWE. Bottom line, I don't know what it is. Maybe it was the way he looked in the way he's helped himself get into shape, number one. Number two, he didn't say nothing. I think that may be the best thing for him. Being a quiet person, just a guy that goes out there and kicks people's asses. That might be a good idea. Him coming out with any kind of smart remarks or any stupid shit coming out of his mouth, I think is a bad idea. I think with his height and his stature and his look, he's the type of guy that's short and sweet to the point with his promos and just does his talking in the ring, and that is it. I think that's the best thing you can do for W. Morrissey in this situation and this run in Impact Wrestling. So, by all means, I think that is the best idea there. Brian Myers and Matt Cardona in a one-on-one singles matchup. This was going okay. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It had a good story about two guys that are formerly best friends in the WWE, and both of them had left the WWE to come to Impact Wrestling. But at the time, Brian Myers thought that Matt Cardona was just following him wherever he went to steal his spotlight. So he's trying to get his own spotlight. He ends up injuring Matt Cardona. I don't know if it's a legit injury or if it's a real injury. I think it's probably real. He looked really badly injured unless he was selling this, and if he was, give him a fucking Oscar. Speaking of Oscars, that's on the night anyway. But this was it had a good story. Based on the fact that these two guys were fucking jobbers in the WWE, they were actually telling a good story based on the video package towards this match. I thought it was good. Very simple, straight to the point, and it made sense. So, bottom line, the match gets a 3 out of 5 stars, and that's basically it. It really gets that because of the story that was told between these two guys. The injury kind of hurt the match a little bit, in my opinion. I, again, don't know if it's real or it's just a storyline injury that they're trying to do here. But bottom line, yeah, Brian Myers wins this match with a pinfall victory over Matt Cardona, and that is that. Jordynne Grace and Rachel Earling. She's a new person added with Jordan Grace, and Jazz, who just recently retired, is now a manager. Won the Impact Tag Team titles against, well, the Women's Impact Tag Team titles against Fire and Flay, which is Kiera Hogan and Tash Steeles. Folks, this match sucked. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 stars, and I'm just being generous, really, to be honest with you, giving it a 2 out of 5 stars. I did not give a flying fuck about this match. This was a boring-ass fucking match. It's probably the worst match on the entire card. Really. It was that trashy. The next match on the card was Trey Miguel versus Sammy Callahan. Folks, if you followed any of my reviews on Impact Wrestling, I have a few of them. I know I don't review them week after week like I normally do with Dynamite, NXT, and on and off with SmackDown. I love Sammy Callahan. I absolutely love Sammy Callahan. For him to lose tonight, I'm okay with it because they're trying to build Trey Miguel up. Sammy Callahan's purpose is to help Trey Miguel get to a level, to another level. That's what Sammy Callahan's job is in this storyline. He is trying to constantly antagonize and piss off Trey Miguel, convincing him he has no passion whatsoever for what he does for a living. I think that's a great storyline. It's a very simple storyline. It's straight to the point. It makes sense. Trey Miguel wins this match. The best decision they could do in this situation. I'd hate to see Trey Miguel lose to Sammy Callahan in the storyline that they're building him up to be. I think this should be over. I hope it is. I want Sammy Callahan to move on to something else. He needs to start racking up some wins. What I would love to see, personally, I'd love to see Sammy Callahan keep the aggressive, evil side of him, but also become that heroic character at the same time. An anti-hero. And become a face and maybe, just maybe, take the title off of the next, the world champion, whoever that may be, which I'm not going to give the results away, but I would love to see him win the world title at Bound for Glory. There's another guy I would be okay with, and that's Moose. Moose was not on this card tonight. I don't know what's happened with him since the loss to Rich Swann. I haven't really seen much of him at all, to be perfectly honest with you. But Trey Miguel got a big win here. There was a lot of things that happened here that was outrageous. Most of them that Trey Miguel sustained damage from, which was fucking unbelievable. Sammy Callahan acted like fucking Kevin Owens in this matchup. He literally went ahead and powerbombed him on a crate that held a bunch of other objects inside the box in this crate. And he just powerbombed him. It looked so fucking painful. I felt so bad for Trey Miguel in this match. It was unbelievable. And he whips out some chains, some other weapons. He hits Trey Miguel several times in the head with a fucking chair. By doing ECW style like Sabu used to do back in 2006 when he used to take that chair and just push it right into the opponent's head. He'd just throw it right in their skulls. That's what Sammy Callahan was doing to fucking Trey Miguel in this match. It was unbelievable. There was another spot in this match that I remember where he did a scoop power slam. A scoop slam, not a scoop power slam, but a scoop slam with the table reverse, the table laying flat down with the actual legs pointing upwards in the air to the ceiling. And he just does a scoop slam right onto the fucking leg of the table, and Trey Miguel just lands right on his back. I was like, oh my God, this poor guy is going through fucking hell. What a sick load of shit this match was. Then Sammy Callahan does a pile driver on top of the steel steps. He then takes Trey Miguel, puts him underneath the steel steps to prevent him from getting up. Trey Miguel manages to crawl underneath the ring, crawl back outside the ring, outside from underneath the ring, and then get on top of the apron while Sammy Callahan's still standing on the steps and waiting for the referee to count to 10, and he only gets to 9. Referee points behind him. He looks, and Trey Miguel runs on that apron, grabs Sammy Callahan by the neck, and diamond cuts his ass straight through the fucking table that was set up by the steel steps, and that is how Trey Miguel wins by a count of 10, winning this last man standing match. It was a little, I guess you could say it was a little weak on Sammy Callahan, though. He really was having a hard time getting up. He kept sliding and kept falling back down again off of the table, and he couldn't get back up onto his feet, even with the table being broke. And it really was kind of, it sucked to see my boy Sammy Callahan lose. I've been a fan of his since day one, and it's unfortunate that he lost, but it was something that needed to happen. The Impact Wrestling needs to build new faces and get new people onto the world title scene. I mean, Rich Swann is new, I will admit that, but we don't have enough world championship contenders, and Trey Miguel is a good add-on to that. So I hope eventually we see him in a world championship opportunity. I don't imagine him winning the world title anytime soon, though, but I would like to see him get into some really good rivals with some other stars besides Sammy Callahan. This match, folks, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. One of the best matches on the card. It was number 2, actually, in my book. Then we had Finn Juice, which was Juice Robinson and David Finlay defeating the Good Brothers in the rematch for the Impact World Tag Team titles. I don't quite understand why that took place. I don't understand why the Good Brothers did not win back the tag team titles with their boy, Kenny Omega, going after the Impact World Championship and also defending his title on top of that. Why wouldn't you want them to be the tag team champions, knowing full well that you got your world champion, Kenny Omega from AEW, who is part of their faction, being draped in gold? Every one of them. I thought that was a little of a dumb decision. The match was average at best. I didn't really care for this match. It was a fucking small package by Juice Robinson for the victory, and they retained the tag team titles. Same way they won the tag team titles in the first place. That sucked. Give it a 3 out of 5 stars just to be generous, because the match wasn't entirely crappy, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't care for this match whatsoever. Then the Knockouts Women's Championship match, I didn't care for all that much either. Tenille Dashwood lost this match. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. What's her name? Deonna Purrazzo. She retained the championship. I was figuring Tenille Dashwood would have been a good, performer to give the title to at this point. Deonna Purrazzo has been champion for quite a while. I'd say about 5 to 6 months now at this point. I might be wrong about that, but I think she's held on to the title for a while. She's defended the title against a lot of other opponents. I don't see why Tenille Dashwood couldn't have been the champion in this situation, but she ends up losing anyway. Again, 3 out of 5 stars for that match. And then the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship for both the Impact/TNA World titles and the AEW World Championship. Folks, Mauro Ranallo was awesome on the mic, as usual. He made this match seem very interesting in the sense of his voice telling the story in the match, as always. And he made it feel a lot more of a real-life sporting event. With NXT, he overinflated the matches, especially with the rival matches, not just the World Championship matches, but rival matches. He really inflated those matches. For example, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. I thought he was excellent. Those were types of things he did in NXT I absolutely love. Here, he made it just like a regular matchup. It wasn't like he was trying to go over and above what he normally did in NXT, which I guess that's okay because this wasn't a heavy rivalry. It was based off of the fact of two guys who were world champions trying to, keep their world championship on their show. And that's all there was to it. At the end of the day, Kenny Omega picked up a great victory here. This matchup, I'm giving a 5 out of 5 stars. This was an excellent matchup. There was some mishaps, I will admit that. Some may say, why aren't you making a 4.5 out of 5 stars? And that's because these guys killed each other, man. Rich Swann deserves a fucking medal for what he went through with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, at the last 5 minutes of this match, knee triggered him in the fucking face. I don't know how many times. I'd say about almost 10 times. He fucking obliterated this guy's fucking dome piece. He fucked him up. Literally. This was a sick, fucked up shit that we saw in this match. If you didn't watch this match, you missed out on a lot. This was a fucking good match. Probably a top 5 or top 10 match of the year type of thing. This match was probably at the end of this year going to be in your top 10 best matches of the year. More than likely. And that's a hard thing to pull off because there's fucking plenty of matches that take place. You guys may say I'm crazy to say this, but I'd say this match was better than fucking Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. This match was better. It was highly entertaining, hard-hitting. These guys tore the shit out of each other. Now, telling a story-wise, I can't deny Roman Reigns with the Universal Championship against Edge and Daniel Bryan, that was a better story. It was more things being told in that story. Here, it was just real simple. Two guys competing over titles, that's it. Everything else on the triple threat match was telling multiple stories at a time within one. So that's what, in my opinion, makes it, better-wise in storytelling. But match-wise quality, oh, fuck, man. Kenny Omega and Rich Swann stole the show. If you put those two matches, match we just watched here tonight, compared to the Roman Reigns Universal Championship match at WrestleMania, match quality, you'd be going with this. Could you imagine this being taking place in fucking Raymond James Stadium? People would be fucking going apeshit over this. This was fucking unbelievable. Them having it taking place inside of some fucking auditorium is just a complete disservice to this match. This match should have been on fucking in a stadium. Bottom line, in front of like 20,000 screaming fans. This was a fucking match that was main event quality type of match. And at least it got the main event on its card, which I would imagine it would. I mean, it's for fucking 2 major world titles and another championship that was formerly known as TNA. I mean, come on. At the end, Kenny Omega, of course, won this match, retained his championship, and won the Impact/TNA World Championship. The man was draped in gold. They couldn't figure out a way to put all 3 titles on this man's body. It was near to impossible. Don Callis at one point had to hold one of the world championships from Impact in his hands, while Kenny Omega held the AEW and the other world championship belt in his hands. It was fucking unbelievable. This guy was draped in gold. He is the man of non-WWE wrestling at this point in time. If there was no Roman Reigns heel run, he'd be the king of pro wrestling right now. Bottom line, and he is getting more competitive with Roman Reigns in the aspect of him being a downright asshole heel. This guy is becoming like a Roman Reigns of non-WWE wrestling. This guy is getting draped in gold. He's running and strutting his shit all over the place. He's the fucking man. And he's putting on good matches on top of it. I wish Roman Reigns had the same wrestling credibility as Kenny Omega, but he does tell a really, really good story. And I know I'm comparing the two, but these two guys are the top of their profession right now. Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega are the two best of the best. Personally, to say who's the best wrestler of 2021, it's a very hard pick to choose because there's two aspects you could look at to say who's the best wrestler. One, who's telling the best stories in the ring when they have their matches? That would be Roman Reigns. But wrestling quality? Oh, God. Kenny Omega has it all over on Roman Reigns when it comes to that aspect. So, it's a hard choice to make. But I believe at the end of the day, Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns, when you see best wrestlers of 2021, it's going to be a toss-up between those two, because those two guys are the best right now in wrestling. I don't care if they're a heel, face, whatever. They are both the best wrestlers in pro wrestling. When you think of WWE, you're thinking Roman Reigns. When you're thinking of AEW, you're thinking of Kenny Omega. There's other guys on there. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan like myself, you'll think of other guys. But at this point in time, who's at the top of the heap? It's fucking Kenny Omega, guys. There ain't no fucking doubt about it. And if you're saying he ain't, you're crazy and cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. Really, that is fucking bullshit. If you don't think Kenny Omega's the top of his game right now, like he was in New Japan Wrestling, you're fucking nuts. And if you don't believe me, watch this match that took place here tonight, and you will see he is one of the best in-ring performers today in pro wrestling. Seth Rollins, you can kiss my ass with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins couldn't kiss this man's jockstrap. Kenny Omega has got it all over on Seth Rollins. This match was fucking great. And Rich Swann, he was awesome too. I mean, Rich Swann did everything you could ask from him in this match, and he made himself look like a fucking $1 million. I will admit one thing, though, that was a little fucking dumb. Why did they have to have two referees? They have Aubrey Edwards, I think is her name, and you have Brian Hebner from Impact Wrestling refereeing the match. Now, granted, Aubrey Edwards was meaningful to have in the match when Brian Hebner got knocked down, but really, we couldn't have a surprise entrance of her with it being unannounced, thinking, oh my god, AEW referee, there's going to be a screw job, but there wasn't one. She actually helped Rich Swann having the match evened out, because Kenny Omega was going to hit him with a fucking chair. And when he grabbed that fucking chair, Mauro Ranallo, he was like, You're the best in-ring competitor in the world? You're gonna go ahead and win the title like this? With a chair shot? I was like, oh my god. That was fucking great what he said. And one thing that I will say Mauro Ranallo did that was absolutely fantastic, he knew every statistic thing going on and storyline going on with Kenny Omega, Rich Swann, and just some of the little things that was taking place during this match that led to this match, and he knew every aspect of it. Now, I'm sure they went over everything with him, give him the insight of what's going on, what he should say that's important to this matchup and so forth. So I imagine they did tell him to do all that. But still, at the end of the day, guys, man, he was fucking on point, like as if he was watching the product for the last month or so since After Sacrifice or something. Literally. And he knew every aspect that was going on. And he told a really good story in the ring. Announced a good story for these guys in the ring to make that match just a little bit better than it already was. And bottom line, guys, this was a very entertaining show. If you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. It was a fun, entertaining pay-per-view. There's some matches I would recommend skipping, such as the Women's Championship match. The Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, I mean, the story was good, but the match, it wasn't all that great. And I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because of the story itself. The Women's Tag Team Championship match, skip that fucking match. I would not recommend it. You want to watch Violent by Design versus Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storms, and Willie Mack? I would say, yeah, go back ahead and watch that match if you haven't already seen this pay-per-view. I would say watch that. It was good to see formerly known Big Kaz in this matchup. He was actually rather good. And the X Division 3-way match, most definitely watch that. Do not miss the opener. That was a fucking fantastic match. Trey, Miguel, Sammy, Callahan, I already mentioned 4.5 out of 5 stars. Very good match. Definitely don't miss that one if you're going to go ahead and watch this if you missed it. And world title match, of course, definitely watch that. You're not going to fucking want to miss that. That was the best match on the entire card. So at this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.